Hey guys, General Marine here with another video. Today talking about pilots, the MOS for pilots, and there's a whole bunch. So I'm not going to do a specific MOS. There we go. But I mean, there's pilots for everything. There's pilots for the Ospreys. There's pilots for the CH-53s. There's pilots for the CH-46s. You know, there's pilots for everything. And so I won't go completely into detail on that. But some basic facts about it: you got to be a U.S. citizen. You must be able to qualify for a secret security clearance. You will perform, a whole variety of missions, and then those missions will depend on, obviously, what sort of vehicle it is you're flying. You know, there's some jobs that planes can do that helicopters can't, and vice versa. So that sort of stuff's going to depend. But I mean, the schools are generally really long. You have to be in insanely good physical shape. They're going to run you through one of those, I don't remember what they're called, but they basically test to see whether or not you can take the G-forces, without throwing up. And I don't know if the military does the same thing, but when NASA tests their pilots, they put them through that, the thing where they strap them in a chair basically and spin them around in big circles in this room. And it's essentially to, one, see how many G's you can take before you pass out, and then two, whether or not you're able to, not puke all over the place, and just how much you can take, essentially. And so you're going to go through that. They're going to teach you a variety of things. I mean, from observation missions to transporting troops to bombing runs to rescuing people. If you have a helicopter, then you'll probably be used for rescuing people depending on the helicopter. You will, depending on the vehicle, actually I guess pretty much any vehicle that can shoot, you may work in close coordination with ground troops. Having that close air support is huge. So being able to coordinate well with the guys on the ground and being able to support them with fire from your birds is insanely huge. And that has saved, you can't even count the amount of Marines that this has saved, and soldiers, and whoever else throughout the years, of these pilots coming in and just fucking the enemy up because the good guys called in support. They needed help, and the pilots went in and got the job done. And it's difficult because it's tough to differentiate when you're flying. It's tough to differentiate on the ground who's good and who's not good. Usually, there's going to be some sort of signal, whether they have an infrared chem light. If you're at night and you have your NVGs on, you'll be able to see this infrared chem light, which is only viewable through NVGs. During the day, they'll have, you may have flares. They may pop smoke to let you know where they are. And then from there, you'll be able to tell that the people around the flare or the people around the smoke are good guys, and the people that they're shooting at are bad guys. But it really can be difficult to tell. And I've flown in plenty of helicopters, and when you get up a certain height and you're coming in trying to figure out the battle, what's going on, it's not an easy thing to do. So there's a lot that you need to be conscious of. I swear I'm going to beat my dogs. They're so annoying. There's a lot you need to be conscious of when you're doing this. The school is very, very competitive, and it's very, very tough regardless of which piloting program you go through. They say that operating a helicopter is a lot more difficult than operating an airplane because it's just more difficult, apparently. I don't know a ton about why it's more difficult. I can see why it's more, because a plane, once you get going in a forward line, that's pretty much all you're going to do until you land. You'll spin around and you'll turn and stuff like that, but it's relatively simple in that manner. When it comes to helicopters, you're constantly having to ensure that the bird's facing the correct angle for you to be able to stay flying. Hovering is considered one of the most difficult things to do in piloting in general, keeping your bird in a dead hover. And so when you see these pilots dropping guys off, on the side of a mountain, like there's that picture of I believe it's a Chinook, but it's dropping soldiers or maybe Marines off on the side of this mountain in Afghanistan. And the pilot's just fucking hovering there to let these guys run out the back of it is just ridiculous. And those pilots are insanely good. Insanely good. The pilots that run the little birds those little blackbirds that can put down some massive fucking fire. Those guys are insane because those things, they're tiny and they're very maneuverable, but some of the shit they do with those things is incredible. It really is. Those guys are skilled. Absolutely skilled. Pilots in general that I've ran into are cool. I ran into one. He was it an F-18? He was a fighter pilot. I don't remember exactly what bird he was piloting, though. But he was a cool fucking dude. He was absolutely awesome. And pilots rotate out. I'm not sure the frequency or, exactly why, if it's something they do all the time. But he had to rotate out of being a pilot for a while. And so he was on the ground coordinating, flights in and out of our COP where we were. And the base we were on was a relatively decent size. We had room for 3 or 4 helicopters to land at a time, if not more. And so he was there coordinating all that sort of stuff. But he was just a cool dude. We'd go in there to just talk shit with him after a while. And he was big into MMA and he loved fighting, so we'd always go down there and roll around with him, and he would show us moves, and he was really good at it. And I'm not an amazing ground fighter by any means, but he taught me quite a bit because he just loved ground fighting. So we'd be in there in the middle of this thing, just fucking fighting each other basically. And I want to say he was a major, might have been a lieutenant colonel, but he was a cool dude. And most pilots that I've run into are pretty cool guys. They, you get the ones that are cocky and think they're better than everyone else, which is going to happen. But the vast majority, in my experience, are pretty cool dudes. But if it's something that you guys want to be into, then in the Marine Corps at least, you have to be an officer to be a pilot. So you'll have to go through officer training. You'll have to deal with all that sort of stuff. But it's honestly pretty worth it if you want to fly. But it's something to consider. Going the officer route isn't easy. But joining the Marine Corps in general isn't easy. But you shouldn't be afraid of things that are difficult. Marines can't be, and Marines never are. So just keep that in mind. All right, guys. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, stuff like that, hit me up. I'll see you later. Semper Fi.